Okay, I think we're probably ready to go now.
Yes.
Great. Okay, super. Hi, everyone. I'm Christine. I'm the Chief Marketing and Operations Officer at Modulex. I am actually based in Toronto, for those of you who don't know. I think most of the people are on the call we're fairly familiar with looking at the attendee list, but just for those of you who aren't aware. So thank you so much for joining this webinar. We're really excited. It's our first webinar that we've opened up to external individuals to join for no particular reason. We just thought, hey, we need to start sharing our knowledge with individuals like yourself that want to learn a little bit more about our products at Modulex. So we're excited for this. So I'm just going to take you through a little bit of an intro of the company. For the most part, everybody here knows it, so I'm probably going to slide through these next couple of slides fairly quickly, and then hand it over to Eric and Kim, who are the ones that you're really here to see. So Eric Sorensen Jr. Is our environmental manager. Sorry, I called him Erickson Sorensen Jr. because there's a senior at our company, and for distinction. So Eric Jr. And then Kim Peterson, which I'm sure everybody on this call knows, is our managing director of the factory in Billund. So they are going to be sharing some really insightful information to all of you. I'm just going to be taking you through a little bit of the first couple of slides, just to remind you and reacquaint you with who we are, where we came from, and our capabilities outside of manufacturing. So today we're going to be talking about eco-friendly signage.
Christine? Sorry.
Yes.
Have you seen that there's at least I can see that there's more people in the lobby? I don't know if you can.
Thank you so much. I will make sure that everybody gets in. Sorry, I was just explaining to everybody that there we go. That sometimes for me, I have to focus on one thing, and it's tricky when I get a little distracted. So thank you for bearing with me. I do appreciate that, Kim. Thank you. So eco-friendly signage, part of your signage strategy. So Kim and Eric are going to talk a little bit about how you can do that with the products that we have. And I'm going to take you through a little bit of our history. So I think, the opening screen basically shows a little bit of the Lego texture in the background. And I think probably mostly everybody on this call knows that our foundations are with the Lego Group. Back in 1963, we were first invented by Lego and brought to life by that company. So since that time, we have certainly evolved, and there's been many changes, ups, downs, a lot of different directions that the company has had to go in and fight through over the economic times and sort of the changing of the industry. We're still certainly focused on everything that is all built environment related, so we're excited about that. Our capabilities and our evolution have changed a little bit over the time, and as this slide shows that, our foundation is modular signage. We still are very much about modular signage, and Kim and Eric are going to talk a little bit more about that later. But we also evolved into architectural signage over the course of the years. And then we also evolved into offering our clients a design build service as well. So not only do we build the product, we have the design team that can help project manage, design the designs for, we work with architects and oftentimes work directly with developers. And then, of course, our global branding team, which is something that's really, really grown over the last several years, is our global brand team, which is basically our brand implementation team. So we have a global account division that works in all markets of the world, bringing to life many of the larger brand implementations, most recently SLB, Pfizer, to name a few. So that team is constantly working on initiatives that roll out into several countries worldwide. And then our green products, which is why we're here today. We're going to be talking a little bit about our green products, and those are obviously very important for obvious reasons why they're important. But I know that, Kim and the team have been working on green initiatives long before it really became a buzzword or a trend. So that's one of the really large advantages to the Modulex Group is we are ahead of where we should be, and a lot of companies are, because of all the groundwork and the legwork that Kim and the team have been doing for many, many years to be able to get us to this point today. Software and technology is also a very big focus of ours. We just recently, I guess it was about a year and a half ago, launched our Modulex product, which is cloud-based project management. So that's a very exciting development for us. And we are continuing to invest in technology, certainly for 2024 and beyond. We're really looking to develop that, bring artificial intelligence into our current systems, and really try to make ourselves as efficient and mobile as possible. Like, we want to be able to address our clients' needs and be better and constantly leading in our industry with respect to technology. And also, one of the things that I think that is really important is sustainability overall. We are really starting to understand the need to be sustainable from a corporate level as well. So there'll be lots of really exciting initiatives for Modulex in 2024. So you'll have to stay tuned on that. Okay. And our capabilities. I mean, everybody knows us for manufacturing, and we're thankful to Kim and the team for that, because they have, for anybody that sells the Modulex product out there, all of the local offices, our sales and project management offices, and even the distributors, that Modulex is such an incredible product to be able to sell. So we're very, very proud of our foundations and our modular signage. We do have, in addition to that, our capabilities, with wayfinding and architectural signage solutions. So we're definitely moving towards that solution provider, being able to use our team to design, to consult, to be able to bring to life signage strategies and signage solutions within the built environment has something that we've really been focusing on and are quite good at. Again, our global brand implementations, that is something that the global team works on together and independently. We have a lot of different partners that we work with in Asia, in South America. So we're able to bring to life these large branding projects that require, sometimes going into, 50, 60 countries. So we're able to manage that quite efficiently. Again, I mentioned Modulex, our cloud-based project management system, and how that is really helping our project management team in so many ways, being able to be efficient, more effective, but also too from the client side, which is the side of the signage world I came from, was a former client of Modulex, being able to see my designs in real time, make edits in real time. So it's really been a game changer for us. And then, of course, our wholesale and production, which is what we're known for, and certainly what gives us that really good, solid foundation for all of our other services and all of our other solutions to thrive. So we've really, grown and evolved over, the many years that we've been a company, and we continue to grow and evolve. And we're excited about the growth and evolution, because we are seeing so many new opportunities and so many new things that are happening within our industry that we're grabbing onto and going with. So we are certainly focused for 2024 on all of these capabilities, but in addition to bringing some new innovations, which we're excited to talk about next year. And we're just in a very, very good place. Modulex is, as business leaders, we like that position. We plan to maintain that position. And, Kim and Eric are certainly big reasons of why we're able to do what we do. So without further ado, and I apologize for my fast talking ways, I am known to be a quick talker, but there's so much good stuff that Kim and Eric want to share. I don't want to steal anybody's thunder. So Eric, it's over to you.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody, and we'll start by talking about modular design. So the reason why we decided to go for modularity first is because this is very much ingrained within Modulex and our DNA. I would probably say that this is coming directly from our Lego heritage, and is at the very core of some of our our product lines and our sign systems, and has been a very big part about why our products stand out. So what do we mean by modularity? Modularity is not a product on itself or a material, but it actually refers to a design principle that is essentially subdividing a product or a system into different components, which are known as modules. And these components, they can be replaced, produced, updated, they can be exchanged individually. So the whole point behind modular design is making this design element and using it as a tool to make products last as long as possible, and to incorporate an element into these products that does not add an obsolescence date or an expiry date to that product, but on the other hand, quite the opposite. It means that the products can be exchanged and made double as durable than others that should be replaced completely. So there are some examples in the current market, and maybe Kim wants to talk about one of them in particular.
Yeah, one thing that I've noticed is that the phone manufacturers, like the iPhones and Samsung, and other brands, they are beginning to look into modularity as well, and so to compare to more consumer products, I tried to look into Bang & Olufsen. Bang & Olufsen, a Danish manufacturer of hi-fi equipment. They have actually for many years been known for the possibility of upcycling their products. You could quite easily change the front of the speakers or a material on the television or something like that, where you change from if you bought a red speaker, you can change it into a black speaker at a later stage when this is shooting you more in your environment, in your living room or whatever. But and they are really well known for creating very solid products that have a long lifetime. But they are also looking into a situation where the technology is changing, and there are new standards for how to communicate with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and so on. So in 2021, they got into a project together with the Danish Technical University, and trying to make their products more environmental friendly. And from this project, they actually came out and said, now we want to do our products more modular, and this means that they are creating products where you can easily disassemble the product and have either the power supply, the speaker, the amplifier, or even the battery if it's a battery product, or the communication parts, the Wi-Fi part, the Bluetooth part, and have that updated to a newer version if a new standard is coming to the market, and meaning that you can actually upgrade or upcycle your existing product and have it following the new standards, and this will give longer lifetime to products, and this I would say that this is the way that the modularity is working with the Modulex modular products as well. So this means that, sorry, Erik.
Sorry.
So this means that if you have a failure, something that goes wrong with your products, you can have it repaired at a later stage. If you want to have a new design, a new look of the sign, you can have it quite easily upcycled, just adding a new panel, keeping the structure of the sign, but adding a new panel with a new color. You can, or with a new updated graphics, you can have the sign look completely new just by adding parts. We also offer at some situations we offer upgrading of signs. So if you have an existing sign that 5, 10, 15 years ago was bought without illumination, internal illumination, and at least some of our products can be upgraded to having internal illumination, adding a new panel from the factory with illumination. That is even possible with the modular products.
So when we talk about,
yeah, sorry. Please.
So when we talk about the value of modularity in making signage and signage projects more sustainable, it essentially comes down to the fact that it enables users and signage developers like Modulex to address waste, durability, recyclability, and updatability from a preemptive approach, meaning that these problems or these impacts are avoided before the product is actually manufactured and not after that, or simply by using materials, but by the way we design those products. So the value in that is that we're using design as sort of like as a weapon to tackle the impact, the environmental impact of a signage project. And as Kim mentioned now, it basically comes down to two main possibilities. One of them is the updatability of signs, and within that, the possibility of upgrading and adding new possibilities. So when we look at either of them, this means that our customers will be able to update or upgrade a sign and get a new brand, a brand new look and feel, meaning that if they change their logo or their colors or the brand elements, they will be able to update this. But they will also be able to add new capabilities, and they'll be able to do this by keeping the entire structures, not only of one sign, but of the entire sign system. And they'll be able to renovate at a fraction of the cost of buying entirely new products, at a fraction of the impact, in a much easier way, and making sure that when they do this, all the old components are either recycled locally or reused, even sent back to Modulex if there is an agreement in place to do that. So yeah, in a nutshell, modularity really opens up a lot of doors beyond the traditional idea of buying a product and then throwing it away. Instead, it extends its lifetime. This has led us to try to explore certain possibilities within the way in which we sell signage by taking advantage of modularity. So when we look at take-back, the idea of take-back programs, thinking of modularity and take-back is sort of obvious in the sense that this enables easy changes in products, in signage, and it enables us to try to explore the possibility of taking back the old components, sending new parts to the client or new panels, for example, if they change the text and so on. And in those cases where there is a common interest and it is logistically possible, by which I mean that it is also feasible from an emissions point of view of shipping back signs and so on, then we've developed this with individual clients where a lot of updates are required. The way we've looked into this is that most of the modular products that we work with are made with aluminium. So the idea here has been, or the challenge has been trying to find ways in which we can take back that aluminium and then try to repurpose it by either stripping down the paint or the print, and then being able to sell recycled signage to other customers. And the way this will usually work is not by doing this with one customer in particular, but by trying to gather that and then share that with different customers in a way where others might be buying recycled signage. And we're actually currently working with one of our Scandinavian partners to try and develop an ecosystem to implement one of these product as a service ideas. And then if that works successfully, then replicating that in other markets with different stakeholders and logistics, but the same idea behind that. Is there anything you want to add, Kim?
No, the only thing is that going back to the Bang & Olufsen and the phones, which is now being introduced into the markets as a upgradable and upcyclable and possible to repair in the future. We have been doing these signs for maybe up to 30 years. So there's a lot of signs out there in the market that can already be upcycled, upgraded, or recycled. So it's just to say that there's actually possibilities out there already now.
So moving on from modularity to the green materials. So now we leave the design tools back behind us, and we move on to the eco-friendly materials that we've developed as alternative to other materials that I'm sure we all know very well. So we'll start with Etronit and GreenBond. Probably most of you or a lot of you in the call will know about these products, but I think sometimes the story behind them is not always so known. So the first one that was developed was actually Etronit, and the story behind that is that within our factory in Billund, we are not technically able to paint acrylic due to the fact that we use wet paint and the acrylic would deform when drying that. So we had to find around 2010, I think it was, Kim actually started searching for materials that would basically enable us to paint signage in a way that it resembled acrylic, but of course would able to withstand our heat in the oven dry process. And Etronit came about. So we actually looked for options and alternatives for acrylic within existing material libraries, and there were none. So we worked with a local developer here in Denmark and basically started working with Etronit. Etronit is essentially a paper laminate, even though it doesn't behave like normal paper from the point of view that it is, of course, also an outdoor product, and it does not really react to the weather elements, but it is essentially compressed paper, which has it has been infused or soaked in synthetic resin and then gets put together to make a really compact laminate. So when we had developed this product or included it in our assortment, and we saw that it was possible to work with it and paint it and so on, we actually had to measure the impact of the product against acrylic. And this is something that I will take on the next slide, but that showed us that we were on the right path. And then the impact and the global warming potential in Etronit was lower than acrylic. So then we turned, and this is around 5 years later, towards 2015 or 2016, we took this development of Etronit and thought, well, now we need to find an alternative for ACMs. And Kim, in this case, also started the search by his own, I think, and started looking in material libraries in the European and in Europe and the Americas. And there are no off-the-shelf alternatives for ACM that are either have a documented lower impact or at least not that we found. So we basically saw the possibility of using Etronit in a way that we would also develop an alternative for ACMs. And what we did in that case was we used a much thinner laminate, and by adding polyester on each side, we have a printable surface which is white. So we avoid the paint in that case in the first place, and we came up with this alternative for ACMs that we call GreenBond, due to the fact that a lot of the ACM products in the market have this bond label as well, and we tried to of course provide it as a green alternative to that. So when each of the, well, now going in detail into what each product is made out of. So basically, if we look at Etronit first, for example, the paper in Etronit is coming from Finland. The paper in Finland, first of all, Finland is known as a product that is exporting a lot of timber, a lot of wood to make furniture and to make paper as well. So there is a very extensive wood industry that is milling and cutting wood all the time. This generates a lot of wood dust. That one of the uses, most common uses that it has, is that it will be used to make pellets, for example, to heat up homes or other products. So we take 80% of this wood dust, which is no other than a byproduct from the wood industry there. And then we top that up with 20% of recycled paper. This is also collected locally in south of Finland, actually. And these are combined to make craft paper, to make this brown industrial paper. That gets stacked together, infused in synthetic resin, and then it gets put together under heat and pressure. So it's a few hours that the papers go through this process. And that ends up in a material that is Etronit, which we can then route and mill and cut here in the factory. We can paint that, we can add 3D print and graphics, and we essentially have an architectural signage material. In this case, one of the things that stands out about Etronit is that it brings a lower environmental impact, but it doesn't compromise at a design level or in terms of the look or the elegance of the product, which is sometimes the problem with some materials that are greener, but then they might not have the good finish that some of the other materials have. In this case, Etronit is outstanding. It is used for the best design projects that we have, and it really lives up to that level of high quality and high-end customers. GreenBond is exactly the same process, except that in the pressing part, we will add the 2 polyester layers, and then you have some sort of Etronite sandwich, you could say. So the GreenBond is this 3mm laminate with the 2 white layers on each side. And instead of painting that, we send that directly into print, and we can use all of our printing technologies as well on that. And GreenBond is also very good in terms of design and the aspect of the product. And we've seen this used a lot also as an alternative, of course, for ACM. So sometimes back of house areas of projects, but also in receptions and as room numbers. And it really gives a different look and feel than GreenBond, than Etronite, sorry. So despite being the same material in the core, they're essentially 2 very different products from a design perspective and from the way they're implemented in signage projects. When we finish the development for both products, here at the factory, we're committed to taking a life cycle approach to the way we measure the impact of our products. So when we developed each of these products, we worked with a local institute in Denmark called Force Technology. This is a completely independent party from Modulex, and they provided 2 carbon screenings, one comparing GreenBond and ACM, and one comparing Etronite with acrylics. And for those of you that know a bit about LCAs, these are not complete life cycle analysis studies. They're more product carbon footprint studies, which consider the global warming potential, meaning the carbon footprint of the products throughout all the life cycle. And in this case, they consider the impacts of GreenBond, ACM, Etronite, and acrylic that differ, meaning that all of these products would have graphics on them and they would be installed. So those parts are sort of common denominators for each of the materials. However, the production, the disposal of the products and the way they're transported and so on differs in those cases. So these are the ones that are used to make this analysis. When we look at GreenBond and ACM, the difference is 41% lower for GreenBond. And when we look at Etronite and acrylic, this grows up to 53% compared to acrylics. And probably the main reason behind that is the production difference in both products. So acrylic and ACMs both have plastic components, which are oil derivatives. In the case of ACM, that includes aluminium. And these are, of course, raw materials that have a high impact or a very intensive production at the beginning of the life of the product. Etronite and GreenBond, in this case, have much less impact at that level, and they use recycled content in them, which also makes a difference. Then at the end of life, GreenBond and Etronite cannot be recycled, but they can be incinerated and within waste to energy, meaning that these products are burnt to then generate electricity that is most commonly used for district heating. In the case of acrylics and ACMs, these are not often incinerated because they would have even more impact by burning them as opposed to actually burying them in a landfill. So the carbon studies assume that it's 50-50%, and that also adds impact to those 2 materials.
Yeah, as Eric mentioned, with these products, Etronite and GreenBond, we can do almost any type of signage projects. If you look at the screen here, you can see some different samples, and you can see the Alstom up here, which is an outdoor sign or cut letters, painted Etronite. So it's possible to do the Etronite and the GreenBond as well outdoor. We can do any type of graphics on them. So for instance, like here up in this corner here, it's printed with a wooden pattern, even with a structure underneath, so that you can feel the wooden surface. So it really looks like wood, and you can see tactile printing, braille printing. One thing that is not possible with Etronit and GreenBond is laser cutting. It's meant for routing, so sharp inner corners is not a possibility. You have small round edges here, like the one shown here. But otherwise, it's you can do more or less the same as you can with acrylics and with ACM plates. We can even do the bending of GreenBond panels by cutting a bit from the back and then fold the GreenBond surface, so we can do box signs. So it's more or less everything you can do with those products that have that we are trying to get out of production and use these models or materials here instead. So the ACM and GreenBond is more for printing. The Etronit and it is for painting first and then adding the graphics afterwards. Yeah, any possibilities actually.
So we'll move on to the next eco-friendly material. This is much more recent than Etronit and GreenBond. This is actually a pilot project that we finished earlier this year, actually, and it's taken around 2 years to develop.
Yeah, it actually started with a Danish company called Dansk Biltun, who contacted us with regards to one big issue that they have. They manufactures carpets for cruise ships, for hotels, and this industry with these carpets where there is a tendency of changing the carpets maybe every 5, 6, 7 years, you have a lot of waste. So they were considering making a take-back program of existing carpets. They also have waste from their own manufacturing of production of the carpets. So they have the possibility of gathering quite a lot of carpet waste. And their carpets are made 100% of the wool, so there's no rubber bag or anything on the carpets. So they can take those carpets and send to a threading process, actually also done here in Denmark. And by threading it and creating mats, like you can see in the middle picture here, they create 20-25 millimeter thick mats of this fibers, or these threaded carpet fibers, including some binders. And Erik will tell more about the percentages, but Dansk Biltun was really trying to find another industry where these mats here could be used. So they were looking into acoustic purposes, maybe furnitures, could be soft furniture part for seats and stuff like that. But we took this into the same, you could say, same thinking and same process as we have with the GreenBond, so that we add this polyester film on 2 sides and have it pressed and heated and pressed down to 3 millimeter thickness. And this way we have actually created the the first commercial product out of this. So Dan Wilson was really trying to find out where can this be used, what kind of industry is this waste actually good for, and we have now created ReBond material, which is similar to GreenBond and ACM. Yeah, Erik, you can tell a bit more about the content of the material.
Yeah, so you pretty much explained everything, but basically when we collect the carpet waste and this gets shredded into fine fibers, to be clear, all of this process happens in Denmark. So does the collection of the carpet waste. So we're trying to keep this as local as possible. When the carpets are shredded into fine fibers, one of the benefits of working with this carpet manufacturer is that the product line that we are using for this ReBond material is cradle to cradle certified, meaning that they know exactly the content of this product. They know that it doesn't contain any extremely serious components or ingredients that will pose a problem in the future sign. They also know that the composition of the product is stable in that sense. Otherwise, the certification would not be respected. So we can guarantee the same result and the same quality of signage material by always working with a certified carpet product. So this is really important to make this project successful. When those fibers are made, there is this binding fiber that gets mixed with the textile fibers. This is 75% carpet fibers and 25% binding fiber. And the binding fiber is actually a polyolefin fiber that is made out of 99% carbon and 1% hydrogen. So it doesn't really add anything that is dangerous for the product. It's a very, very innovative fiber that is used in a lot of projects that are repurposing textile waste to make new products in the future. So essentially what this fiber does is that it binds the product together. And when we press the felts that you could see on the fourth picture, when we press these into sheets with the polyester like we do for GreenBond, the heat in that process makes this binding fiber react. And then that makes the whole product much more consistent. So it basically joins the fibers together. If we didn't have this, of course, the pressure would do its thing with the textile fibers, but eventually the dust on the sides would fall off. So by using this, we can basically guarantee that this recycled material meets our quality standards, which is key to the type of products that we manufacture. And it means that when you grab the sign, you're not just ending up with fibers on your hand, but it's actually well put together and consistent. Like with Etronit and GreenBond, when we finished this development and the pilot project, as I said, was finished earlier this year, to give you an idea of the proportion of this pilot stage, we took 5 tons of carpet waste, of textile waste, and that was manufactured into 718 sheets, each one of a bit more than 3 square meters. So the overall space for signage is above 2,000 square meters. So that's the conversion rate there. And the main benefits of using this product are that we minimize the extraction of virgin raw materials. So we're using
We lost you there.
Sorry?
We lost you for a couple of seconds there.
Okay. Well, I was saying that the value of ReBond is that it reduces, first of all, landfill waste, so the amount of carpets that get sent either to landfill or to incineration. It gives value to that waste and at the same time avoids the use of new virgin raw materials. So there we're minimizing the impact compared to products like ACM, for example, quite a lot. And of course, it solves that waste problem that this company, Dansk Wilton, originally had. Like with the previous products, we developed or we worked with Force Technology in Denmark, and they did another carbon screening analysis, a product carbon footprint that looked at the impact through the entire life cycle from birth from cradle to cradle, as they say. And it also considered those parts of the life cycle of each of the materials that was differential, meaning that graphics, for example, and fixations are omitted because they're always the same for all products. At least the same possibilities are available. And the difference when we compare it to ACM is that ReBond has a carbon footprint 63% lower. So this is even lower than GreenBond. Of course, it's not exactly representative because ReBond is an interior product, while GreenBond and ACM can also be used outdoors. But certainly the impact is much lower than the standard ACM that we all know from Signage.
Yeah, so the product is not meant for outdoor like the GreenBond, and it's actually also it's not used in, or not to be used in wet areas like showers or saunas or swimming pools, due to the fact that the carpet core can uptake some humidity. And another thing with the product is that on the edges here, you will be able to see the previous life of the product, of the carpets. So the color of the core will be affected by the color of the carpet that is sent for the take back program and for threading. So you can see some traces of the previous life of the material. Otherwise, you can do exactly the same. The printing, the different printing technologies, creating structure and tactile and braille and everything. That's the same possibilities as with ACM and GreenBond materials.
So moving on to the last green material. So this is the latest incorporation, even more recent than ReBond. This is GreenCast acrylic. So this was the first 100% recycled acrylic developed in the entire world. This was developed around 15 years ago. And we haven't historically worked in the factory here in Denmark a lot with acrylic, but we have seen this as a very big possibility due to two main reasons. One of them is to be able to provide acrylic in a way that, for example, Etronit cannot be transparent. So this is a very important feature, you could say, of working with acrylic in the first place. And so one of the reasons was to basically be able to work with 100% recycled material as a signage, as a customizable material, you could say. And on the other hand, GreenCast incorporating this in our assortment has meant that we are now moving most of the components within our standard system, even those that can't be seen by the end user, that were originally virgin acrylic, are now being replaced by recycled acrylic. So we haven't managed to do this 100%, but we have replaced more than 3/4 of the components within our assortment. And of course, this means that we're moving in a direction where we will end up, or we aim to end up, in a position where we're not using any virgin acrylic at all, but we're always using recycled acrylic. GreenCast is certainly a unique product because despite being made out of 100% recycled acrylic, it has exactly the same mechanical properties, functional properties, graphical possibilities, and durability than any virgin acrylic, meaning that, for example, the transparent version of GreenCast is not cloudy or is not really any different to any other acrylic. So the quality of the product, again, which is key for the way we produce at Modulex, is upheld despite being recycled. The way this product is made is by essentially collecting pre- and post-consumer acrylic waste in Europe. This waste gets collected, it gets sorted into different qualities, and it gets made into a granulate. This granulate is then it's put into the first step of the recycling process, which is regeneration through thermal cracking. This is the technical name of the part. And then this is basically distilled to obtain MMA, which is the core component in acrylic. Except in this case, it is recycled MMA. So they use RMMA, which is the label of the core of GreenCast, on 100% to cast acrylic sheets once again. And we have decided to include this in 3 colors. So we offer this in transparent, we offer it in white, and also in black. The value of GreenCast essentially is that besides reusing acrylic waste that would otherwise be either incinerated or sent to a landfill, it actually minimizes the extraction of oil and virgin raw materials to make acrylic in the first place. So it creates quite a loop. I wouldn't say it's not a fully circular loop, but certainly a very strong recycling economy to reuse the existing acrylic waste in the market. At the end of life, GreenCast can be recycled repeatedly. So there are no downgrading limitations there. Quite the opposite. It can go again into the process. And again, it respects all of the main functionalities in any acrylic. In terms of life cycle and environmental impact, there are quite a few key points about why GreenCast has a lower impact, but the main ones are the ones that I just explained about the minimizing the extraction of raw materials and so on. And there is an LCA, which in this case is a full life cycle analysis, meaning that it considers the global warming potential, but also all other indicators such as ocean acidification and ozone depletion and so on. And the difference in carbon footprint between GreenCast and a standard acrylic is 75%. And when we look at all of the other indicators in the study, the difference actually grows up to 80%. So it is an enormous difference, mainly due to the fact that it is using waste. Also due to the fact that GreenCast uses a lot of less water during its production process. And GreenCast itself is a product that has 0 VOCs or HFCs, meaning that it has no chemical emissions at that level. And it has no substances within it that are listed as high concern in either in REACH regulation, which is the European one, or on the international standards. So in terms of environmental impact, it really improves the mark compared to the standard acrylic in the market. In terms of the take-back possibilities, keeping in mind that GreenCast can be recycled repeatedly, of course, it's obvious to start talking about take-back possibilities and the possibility to gather this waste and send it back to recycling. Right now, all of the production waste of GreenCast is sent back to our supplier. We have an agreement, an official take-back agreement, and this gets sent back into the same process. So it gets turned into a granulate and then reused for acrylic products in the future. We are currently exploring the possibility of taking back post-consumer GreenCast, meaning actual signage that has been installed for a series of years and then gets removed or replaced. And this is something that, like with modular products, for example, we're going to develop a local ecosystem with some of our partners and customers, and we're going to replicate that into other markets if it ends up being successful, and most importantly, logical from a transport point of view. So it wouldn't make sense in our case to be taking back from other continents right now. But yes, so these are certainly possibilities that we're looking into. And Kim will explain how we have incorporated GreenCast into the first double curved sign system of the market.
Yeah, we offer the GreenCast in, as Eric mentioned, in black, white, and transparent. And the black and white we offer both in matte and glossy versions. And we offer all 5 of them in 3, 5, and 10 millimeter thickness. We actually use the 3 millimeter transparent one for creating our new sign system called Wave. It's the product that you have here in the right hand bottom corner of the pictures here. This is the first, as far as we can see, it's the first double curved sign system in the world. And we are using the GreenCast material as the front, but also as the backing of the sign. So at least most of the sign is made from all from GreenCast acrylic and can therefore be recycled as GreenCast acrylic. So this means that once end of life, it can be recycled into new PMMA and become a new part for Greencast to manufacture. And if it isn't sent into a take back program, it's at least very easy to sort when it needs to be scrapped, and so you don't have to sort it into different fractions. It's one fraction, all of it in Greencast.
Adding to that, the fact that it's made entirely out of Greencast means that it is the first sign system that is 100% made out of recycled materials, including fixation and including the mounting and the panel itself. So except the graphics that are, of course, new ink, everything else is recycled acrylic.
There are a few aluminium parts to hold the sign, but this is not a direct part of the sign.
So all in all, we hope that it's illustrated, at least in a useful way, how we try to implement both sustainable materials, which either have recycled content, a lower carbon footprint, or recycling possibilities at the end of life into signage projects, but all design, and in this case modularity, for example, can be used as a weapon to tackle that impact, and support your customers in implementing signage in a more eco-friendly way, and doing that before even producing the sign. So combining materials and design tools, we hope to take signage projects to the next level in terms of sustainability. If there are any questions, feel free to either write them in the chat or go ahead and
we still have a few minutes, Eric. So if anybody, we're going to make sure that the presentation and the video is available to all of the attendees if you should want it. We will have it available on our YouTube channel, and we'll have the presentation available on demand. So just send me a quick email if you're interested in having it. Also, for those of you that need to leave and go about your day, you can go ahead and drop off the call now. So grateful for your attendance. Thank you so much for showing interest in being part of this webinar. But we will stay around for the next 10 minutes or so and answer questions of anybody who would like to ask Eric, Kim, or myself. Not that I'm going to be able to help a whole lot with the eco-friendly products, but we're here for you if you want to stick around. But everyone else, have a fantastic day, and we're grateful for your attendance. Okay, so any other questions? I'll have to unmute you, though. Okay. So far, nobody. Okay. Last call for questions. I can absolutely unmute everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, I can do that.
Any questions?
Yeah, hi, this is Tim from London. Very, very interesting. Thank you so much. Listening to Kim speak, it's like listening to a Formula One driver. Absolutely fascinating. Thank you very much indeed. One quick question from our side. In terms of you mentioned the synthetic material that's used as the bonding agent for Etronit and other of the products. There's absolutely no added urea formaldehyde in any of your bonding agents, is there?
There's no added what? Sorry?
Urea formaldehyde.
There are levels of that component that are below 0.1%, therefore below the limit of the substances of very high concern limitations. And also when the product is actually finalized and you have the final laminate, none of the components within the synthetic resin in this case are emitting at all.
We have a challenge in the UK on the premise that myself and my son, we also sell fire doors and we sell architectural ironmongery. And with fire doors, you need 1 part per millionth of urea formaldehyde in the glue line in order to get the product through the fire test. And so when you have projects in the UK that are either LEED or BREEAM rated, you have to have dispensation to have 0.1% urea formaldehyde. So I would just be interested to know exactly what that is in case we have to mention that to architects.
Yeah, I've encountered a couple of projects in the UK which were either LEED or BREEAM certified, where the client asked about that component.
Yeah.
And in those cases, they're not very recent, but if I remember correctly, the level of the formaldehyde in the products is lower than the threshold. So there was no problem in working with that. But if you want further information, then we can discuss this further by email and provide any documentation if interested.
I don't think it's going to be a problem, but I know we will be asked it.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's just useful having the ammunition so we can go bang, bang, and then move on. Yeah,
I would say that the short answer is what I said in terms of it being below the REACH regulation limit and the regulation in terms of the SVHC list of substances. And of course, further documentation will be more than happy to help and provide if requested.
That's brilliant. Thank you. I won't take the floor any longer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim.
Great. And Eric, we do have a question here in the chat. It says, Crystal asks, out of curiosity, with green cast acrylic, do you meet any competition? In Denmark, could it be from RIAS, Vink, or GOP?
Yeah, these are the companies that supply this in Denmark. So they're in fact distributors of the original manufacturer, and we work with one of them. I can't remember if it's Vink now.
Vink, it's Vink.
Yeah. So it is with Vink. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Vink is the company, is the distributor in at least in Denmark, not the others. Yeah.
Yeah, and they also have or it is with Vink that we have the official take-back agreement as well. So they're pretty much connected back into the recycling stream behind this product.
Yeah.
Great. There's no more questions in the chat. So does anybody else have any? Okay. I think, I think Amanda does. I think you should be okay, Amanda. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, sorry. I'd just like to say from Amanda Actis in Sweden, thank you for a great presentation. I'm sorry I'm not on screen. I'm on a rainy football match, but it's been so exciting. I think I'm missing 2 goals. But we're really excited to keep this, to see how this works for us and to how we can get our heads around these green materials.
Yeah.
Do you think there will be problems? I know this is a silly question, but for me, like with all these new materials, sometimes I know some of them are for outdoors, some of them are not for outdoors, but then again, there are so many variations. So how will we choose?
That's a good question. I think that sometimes the best way is to try to get a quick overview, but then immediately go for the options that you feel work the best, and then going for them. I would definitely not overwhelm the final client with all the options that there are. So, for example, just to illustrate that, if we look at Etronit and GreenBond, I feel that towards the client, it's sometimes easier to go for one of them instead of trying to create confusion. But yeah, it's a good question.
But I guess it's two different. It's two different products. It's two different looks that you get from those two materials. So yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mean it in that they're the same. It's more that I think Amanda's question is relevant because a lot of the options also overlap in terms of thicknesses and graphical possibilities and so on. So you can get 3 materials, you can get printed, you can get the same fixations for a variety of them. So I think it's about choosing the right characteristics for you and your client. And of course, each of these materials always has a key difference. So that's, I guess, up to the signage specialists at the end of the day.
Okay, a follow-up question there. When we talk money, how did like if it's combined like a sign for sign size-wise? How would which would be like the I know it's maybe it's still a question, the budget version or like the more exclusive version, or are they all the same in price when it comes to the different, like with GreenBond and Etronit and stuff?
So I would say that, of course, it's not an easy question to answer because this depends on how much you are adding to the material, meaning that if you are buying, for example, a completely finished sign with paint in the case of Etronit and graphics and print on them and fixation and so on, then if there is a price difference, that gets reduced significantly. But off the top of my head, and Kim, correct me if I'm wrong, I would say GreenBond is around 15 to 20% at a material cost more than ACM. Then if you're buying finished signage, you can bring that down to around 8 to 10%. When we look at Etronit and acrylic, they're pretty much at the same price level, except if you're buying really small components. With ReBond, I can't remember exactly the comparison, and with Greencast, it's at the same price level in general terms than any virgin acrylic.
Yeah, I would actually say that the GreenBond, the material cost of GreenBond is more like 50% above ACM, but if you have a finished sign with graphics and installation and everything, it's more like 15 to 20% above ACM. And you're fully right. Greencast and virgin acrylic is same price level. And Etronit versus Greencast, Etronit is a bit cheaper. Not too much, not that much.
But then again, it doesn't have to be cheaper. It depends on how you brand it. It's more like also the feel of the product, like would you, if it's a more low budget feel or not. Like the sustainability doesn't have to be cheaper. It doesn't have to be more expensive either. It just have to be the correct level to make the client feel it's worth it or find a little ground of it.
Yeah.
It was just a curious question.
I think that taps in
when you have all the materials in front of you and you know the prices and so on. If you would label this more to be more exclusive and more easy, just the feel of it, and also price-wise, production and stuff.
Yeah, I think that taps in quite well with your first question, actually, in terms of it being a trade-off. So I think it's important to identify the sustainability needs and how much of a priority it is for the client. And from there, both choosing product and also finding what the value trade-off in that is, of course. Again, keeping in mind that most of these products are made available into the signage industry only by Modulex. Greencast is the only one that is actually commercialized openly, but the other products are for now exclusive to us.
Great. We have one more question in the chat here from Juan Domingo. Ask, is there any plan for Greencast with transparent matte service, especially for the use in indoor environments? For instance, indoor very well illuminated where reflections sometimes are a problem.
Yeah, we have it's not a standard product, you could say. It's the transparent one is glossy as it is, but we have the possibility of adding a matte varnish or lacquer to the surface of the front surface of the acrylic or the Greencast, sorry, so that it actually turns out to be a nice gloss 15 or something like that. So we can do that, and we actually offer that for the Wave product as well. So the Wave product can be supplied in both the glossy and the matte version.
Great. No other questions in the chat.
Super.
Any last question?
Well, with no further questions, thanks again, everybody, for joining and for taking the time to come here, even from football matches. So that is certainly appreciated.
That's commitment.
But did they win or? Thank you so much for joining.
Okay. Great. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Take care.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye now.
Bye.